We're back here at the line. Almost 60 people were killed and close to 500 injured last Sunday night when a gunman opened fire from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, onto an open-air concert. It was the deadliest shooting in modern U.S. history. The task of trying to understand how and why such a horrible event like this can happen seems impossible, but it is in our nature to try and make sense of the tragedy and to worry that something like this happened in Las Vegas could potentially happen here. But while leaders around the country and here in New Mexico offer condolences and prayers, it is also in our nature to want to do something. The question of how one man could have amassed so many weapons is on the minds of many who want our gun control laws to change. And Sophie, this is a difficulty. Here we are yet again. We've been at this for a long time.
I have been at this table for the past month.
That's right.
And each thing that comes up, we come back to.
That's right.
Why are we incapable of regulating? Why can't we be well regulated in the way that our gun policies work?
Why is it?
Frankly, I think that between the change in the jurisprudence over the Second Amendment, that's relatively recent, coming out of the Supreme Court, I think that the amazing power over the last couple of decades of the National Rifle Association, which may be declining. It's interesting to see when that happens.
That's how I was going to get to that too, yeah.
And I think, frankly, there's a certain amount that's happening in social media where there's messaging that's coming out that's probably not too different from what our legislators have faced in recent decades, which is it's impossible, don't try, you'll be injured, you'll be damaged if you do try.
And there's a feeling, Dan, out there that those excuses, if you want to consider them excuses, are not quite valid anymore. But we heard that after previous horrors as well, that some involving children, and we still could not get somewhere on legislation. Well, again, the same question, how is it we're stuck here, and what do we need to do to get out of it?
Well, it's just incredibly difficult to know how to legislate a solution to these problems. I think that, gun violence or gun deaths are pretty complicated. You know, there are all kinds, from suicides to mass shootings.
That's right.
And it's really difficult to come up with one bill or one solution to it. I think also in New Mexico, it's not just a Democrat-Republican impasse. There are quite a few rural Democrats in the legislature who've had some misgivings and say they've heard from their constituents that they don't want some of these firearm background check bills that have come up in the legislature. So it's difficult for me to see any easy legislation that's going to come through sometime soon. Right.
You know, Merritt, we could potentially start with, we have the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, saying, you know, we might want to take a look at that thing, I think what they're called, where it makes the
bump stock.
Bump stock, right. And at the very least, we can start there. And that happens a lot with legislation, doesn't it? You start with small things and just sort of chip at it, instead of a giant overall thing where people are saying, look, we should just have some system where you turn in all your guns. That's not going to work in this country. So talk about that. Is that an opening, however, that people can agree on?
I think it has to be, and that's what I keep seeing as the key element, because it's not legal to own an automatic weapon, but it is legal to convert your semi-automatic weapon, and that needs to be addressed. I think the culture that we have that is really by lobbyists, by the manufacturers, is that any personal weapon is our constitutional given right. And I really think we need to rethink that, because I think when we think of the Second Amendment, we picture revolutionaries with their musket, bayonet, and then we had Frontier, and everyone took their rifle and their pistols. No one towed artillery down the Oregon Trail for personal protection.
That's right.
And then the National Firearms Act of 1934, where they really defined, I think, what I call military-grade weapons. They call it weapons of destruction, more than self-defense. So tanks are in that category. You can't buy a tank. You can buy one with a failed tube, with a tube full of cement. You can't buy a working cannon. These are good things. BAE Systems is not going to gun shows selling howitzers. However, gun manufacturers are. And I think we have to change the mindset that a weapon that can kill many people in less than a minute is not the same as self-defense. It is not protecting property. It's not protecting life and property. You need a weapon like that to do one of two things: commit mass murder, or foment a rebellion, which would be treason.
right.
And both of those activities we do not need to equip our citizens for.
Thank you very much. We have 30 seconds left. If you want to pick up on that, you can. But is there some way, do you see some crack in the light here with these things we could potentially?
I'd have to agree with some of what Merritt said there, is that I think we have all this case law that looks at the First Amendment and kind of picks away at what our right is there, but not a lot on the gun rights. You know, what can we try to interpret what the Constitution says about our right to bear arms?
Right. We're at a point, as they say, an inflection point. Let's see what happens. Thank you all. Good stuff on